Hi, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the Absolutely Bookkeeping podcast. Today, I'm joined by Vicky. Good morning, Vicky. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your bookkeeping business or your accounting practice, and the type of clients that you work with, please?
Yeah, hi everybody. Thank you, Natasha, for having me on. A bit last minute, but really excited. So my name is Vicky Garbett. I work for two different companies. I'm a director of my own business, which is Osborne Consultancy, which is an accountancy practice based in Ascot, Berkshire. And I'm also the CFO of Designated Medical, a specifically targeted medical accountancy and bookkeeping company, which is based in London.
And how did your journey become to get into this kind of industry? Was it kind of like, did you fall into it, or was it something that you wanted to do after leaving school?
Yeah, so I completely fell into it. I went to university and studied drama, English, and dance, and came out of university and I fell pregnant with my eldest son. And was like, oh, I can't really do dance, drama, and English, traveling the country, doing the things that I wanted to do. I went and did a HND in business, shows my age, an HND, and really enjoyed the finance side of things, and then took a role as like an administrator in a local company, and went to night school doing Pitmans, so computerized accounts, and learning basically like very, very low level bookkeeping. Was then lucky enough to be sponsored by the company that I was working for to do AAT, day release. Did that for 2 years and moved on to a different company who then sponsored me to become chartered. So I did my CIMA as well then. Worked up in commercial for many, many, many years for some companies in the city, kind of in the local areas as well. And after having my third child back in 2019, I thought, I'm not sure this 14-hour day, 5 days a week, plus Sunday fear is really for me. Was working in more commercial finance, but basically doing everything that I would have been doing on a much higher salary, but just was not gauging it, and thought, you know what, I really want to just do something on my own. And I started up my own practice in my maternity leave as a little sideline. And yeah, so that was 2019. So it's still going. It's got from strength to strength. And in 2021, I met the founder of Designated Medical randomly through a Facebook group as well, which was, we just started talking and we really understood each other, really wanted to work together. She wanted to bring accountancy for medical practitioners, right the way from aesthetics, right the way up to private medical doctors, surgeons. And we sort of joined forces to create all services. So, we do everything kind of low level to the top level, but it's been really, really good. And I find, coming from the bottom almost has really helped. It's helped me to understand the day to day. Like, don't know about you, I go back to T accounts whenever I need to, like pen, paper, where's my debit, where's my credit?
I have whiteboard. I have a whiteboard on my desk with it.
Yes.
And every time I can wipe it clear, but that is the best way to go back to how did it come into the bank, or what's the relationship? And then once you do that, everything gets a doddle.
Yes. And I have a lady that works for me and she is doing her AAT and she laughs at me because she'll ask me a question and I'm like, right, well, let's go back. Where's your paper? She's like, do you really do that? Yes, I do.
But it is the best way to do things. So can I ask, what is the word you would describe your relationship with technology in your business currently?
I would say embracing. I would say I'm not somebody that finds technology really, really easy. I know what works and I know that I still hold folders for people. I still print, when I'm doing things. I find that for me because I find ticking off, highlighting is the best possible way. That suits my characteristics of the way I work. So technology has always been a bit like, oh, okay. but I am moving forward. So last year we took the big kind of jump to move from paper records to online database, AML, which was painful, but now I can see the benefits. So I think I'm slightly cautious, but I'm understanding and embracing now that technology is the future. And we really have to, especially in the work in the designated company, we're virtual. So, you know, it's not a case of having an office. I have employees all over. We need to be able to, you know, have the most live, up-to-date information. If I want to look at something at 11 o'clock at night, I don't expect to have to email one of my bookkeepers and say, oh, can you tell me where, da, 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 da. I just need to find it. So I think we are really moving along with tech, probably dragging me by the hair, you know, but we're getting there.
So let's talk about your favorite apps. What is the app or software you simply could not run your business without?
So it's going to be, everyone's going to go, oh, but it's Dext.
Oh,
I have been with Dext since it was Receipt Bank back in 2018, 2019. I find it a lifeline for the clients because when you are working with, you know, in my own business, when we're working with tradespeople in designated, when we've got the doctors, we've got the cert, they're working all these hours. They don't want to keep paper records. They just don't want to. And I've tried to, you know, get them into some sort of, you know, at least hold a folder. No, I still was having the people that were coming with the big bags and stuff. And it ultimately, you know, it makes your life hell, and rolling it out to people. To start with, everyone loved it. Then obviously the price increase a couple of years ago really kind of threw people. A lot of my clients were like, no, can't pay for that. Want to move to something else. Predominantly I'm a Xero girl, so we HubDoc for those ones. I don't really rate it personally. I find it really clunky. I find it really unfriendly for users, and I feel that from when we were doing that, people would start to do it, it would fail, and so they would just give up, and then they just won't submit their invoices, and then I'm chasing them, and it's just painful. So a lot of them did try it and are now all back on Dext. So as long as they keep me on the same pricing, so Dext, if you listen, then that, you know, for me, I would say it's invaluable in terms of being able to pull that information and really not have to have so much interaction with my clients, because the most important thing that they don't want to give me is their time.
So how did you discover, obviously it was Receipt Bank originally, and was it a game changer from since day one? I remember using Receipt Bank years ago, and I was still there when I could send a bundle of my clients' paperwork to them to process as well. They had that facility. So how did you discover it?
So when I first started out on my own, I took a client who had been with an accountant, basically fallen out of love with the accountant, and had then moved on to find somebody else, couldn't find anyone else. So was kind of doing it on their own, but not really. And when I first met them, they had Xero and they had the Receipt Bank. So for me, it was like, right, okay, this is how I'm going to like tread the boards. I'm going to learn, because back in industry, I was using things like 365. We had Sage, Dynamics, you know, the big names. I hadn't really had the exposure to the smaller systems. Obviously, one of the first things I did was get Xero qualified, but it was very much like, you know, working out. And he had a massive backlog. I'm talking like over 6 months. It's a catering industry, so daily, you know, many invoices. And Receipt Bank just became a really nice way that meant I didn't have to go and sit in his unit one day a week with a pile like this. I could just scan them on myself. I could also then query them with him. I could flag them. We could do them in batches. And yeah, I really kind of got to grips with it from there. So I then decided, as we were getting, you know, new clients coming on board, that was the way that we were going to move forward. Because, you know, if someone doesn't want to pay for it, then that's a different story. But for the benefits that it brings, it's a no-brainer, really. So yeah, it's kind of been with me. It's evolved, and it's evolving all the time, changing. Obviously, with MTD coming in, it really it's going to give a lot more availability to people that don't have the time to sit and pull the paperwork to just send it. Things like setting up rules where you've got your email addresses, right? It's a multiple, it goes to this. It's a single, it goes to this. I find it invaluable, really.
Fabulous. So you've already mentioned a couple of problems it solves for you. What are the real key problems that it solves for you and for your clients in this instance?
Yeah, I think it allows the timely bookkeeping because, I'm a massive believer that if you don't bookkeep regularly, everything becomes a mess. Bookkeeping is the glue that holds the whole of the business together, no matter, in finance, we never really get like the recognition that we deserve, do we? But I think it allows us to make so many decisions. And we have done some work with one of my clients just purely through Dext to look at some price increases. They were going with a supplier. They've been with that supplier for God knows how many years, not really getting any good renewal rates. And we were able to pull off this information. Look, right, you want the spend in the last 6 months, you want the spend in live data right up until yesterday, because they've set the rules in their emails that every time this supplier emails them the invoice, it sends it straight to Dext. So I think that it saves my clients time, which is what they want. They don't want, as much as they love speaking to me, I don't think they want to. They don't want to take time out of their day, because anything finance related, they just think of tax, don't they? It's like, oh, okay, I've got to do this job and I'm going to have to pay tax on that. And it's that sort of mindset. Whereas, we can have a doctor who could be working till midnight, and actually when he finishes, he takes a picture of his receipt of, whatever, and sends it. It's there. It's not, I'm not hassling that person at the end of the month. Oh, can you find me that parking ticket when you had to go? No, they haven't got it, and it stops those awkward conversations as well. If you haven't got it, we don't put it through. There's no kind of grey areas there.
Yeah. So for those who don't use kind of receipt capture kind of software with their clients, can you talk us through so how you use it in your day-to-day business? So obviously this has been a key thing. A lot of people use this extraction, but some don't even actually use that still. They still manually enter. So can you just run us quickly how you use it in your daily process?
Yeah. So basically, when we take on a client, we make sure that the integrations are working, whether that be to QuickBooks, Free Agent, Xero, whatever we're using. And we will make sure that with the majority of clients that we set up, obviously, the payment, so that there's a normal bank account, but if the directors paid it themselves, there's also the option there. What we also like about Receipt Bank is there's a nice narrative area that you can write in there if there is something. So what we'll do is on a daily / weekly basis, go into Dext, double check that there's no issues with anything. There's no obviously sometimes it doesn't read 100%. The new thing that Dext is doing now as well is it checks VAT numbers for you, and it will obviously tell you whether you've got the wrong name or whatever. So that's quite a good handy just little check. We'll then process into the software that we're using. That will then allow us to go into the bank rec and match if possible. If it's not a match, then we'll wait, because obviously we might have some timing delays with some of the banks. I think Metro is still like a day and a half on a Xero link, which is just mad when you're paying £1 for it. Yeah. But we would sort of wait then. Normally at the end of the week, usually a Friday afternoon, we would send to the client, if they're on our monthlies, we would send them a little list in to say, we're missing 2 receipts from Monday. Do you have these? Or the receipts come in for maybe £75, but the bank was 73. Was there an adjustment? Or so it really allows us to be really kind of working on the information live as quickly as possible, to be able to give our clients probably the most important that they want to know is, where are we with tax? What's our profits? What's an estimate? So that they can always be really proactive in terms of their bookkeeping and their tax provisions, rather than being reactive 9 months down the line. The bookkeeping's all been done. They've forgotten all the invoices. They don't have them. They've lost them or whatever. So, yeah.
Are there any clever automations you've set up with it to make your life easier for using Dext? So I know you mentioned supplier rules. That's obviously a key part of making consistent postings then. Are there any other key automations that you've set up with it?
So yeah, we do some of them. So I mean, I'd say I'm not, as I said, I'm not like, tech, but in terms of supply rules, definitely. Also, so on a lot of them, we'll have where the director is paying some subscriptions or something from their personal every single month. So again, we're setting that up that every month we know that that's not going to come in through the main bank. That's going to go straight to the DLA. It allows us to stop chasing them down for where's this? It's not in the bank statement. We just know that it's there. And again, there's certain things that, especially with credit cards as well. So setting up the credit cards, into Dext as well to allow that as an option so that we understand, they may be paying for these things all on a credit card. And then at the end of the month, the transfer obviously comes through. But it just gives us, again, that ability to be able to see what's going on.
Yeah. Do you think it's helped you scale, save time, or even keep your sanity by using Dext?
100%. I think when you have one client or maybe two clients, you can, and I still, as you said, I still meet people who are doing manual uploads for invoices, and that's absolutely fine. If you've only got a couple of clients and you can give it that love that it needs.
Yeah.
But the majority of people who are working in industry are not going to have that. And I think it's also a really good thing that for transition around people. So, it doesn't matter who processes that invoice from Dex to the software because it's all done in the same way. So if so-and-so is off on holiday, that's fine because the other person is going to do it exactly the same way. And it allows for us to all do what we need to do, but as we know, like accountancy is not 9 till 5, and it means that we can work at the pace. So we might have the bookkeepers who are working on different things at different times. Well, that's absolutely fine because it's not time reliant. The software, is available for everybody. So I think, I think it's a really, it's really helped.
Cool. Do you think there are any common mistakes other users of Dex make when using this software? I mean, I know you've mentioned things like making sure supplier rules are set and things like that. Do you think there's other common mistakes? Because obviously these softwares can be quite intense to learn and things like that. And sometimes we give up before we've actually understood how good this software is going to be for us, for example.
Definitely. I think one of the things is that, your software, as you say, is only as good as what you teach it to be. It's a learning software. It needs time. It needs love. You need to, and I'm getting taught about AI by one of the people in designation at the moment, and it's crazy because, again, with AI, it's exactly the same. You've got to teach it to know you, to know how you work, to how you would respond. And I think Dext is exactly the same. If you don't put the time in and you don't teach it that SO is motor, and make sure that every single time that you don't just allow it to, I don't know, go as SSO or whatever, because then you've got multi-rules and then you've got multi-suppliers that are coming through. I always have the check on as well that it will come up and say, this is a new supplier. Are you sure that you want to process? Because otherwise, I've had ones where it will spell, the same supplier 4 times, but in different ways. And that's just causing yourself a headache. So I think it's only as good as what you put into it. But I do find that, and also the other one is where people will send a multi to the single email address. So you just get like their email and it comes up, or the last page, or if it's a 2-page invoice and they send it a single, and so that can be time consuming. And I use that to go back to my clients and say, look, that this is not right. You need to do this. You need to do that. Also, clients that have got multi-businesses who send them to the wrong email address again, it's learning. I try to push back on that, but that can be time consuming and frustrating. But again, it's more about just training the software, but training your clients as well.
If you had a magic wand and can change just one thing about Dex, what would it be? Or do you need not to change it?
Pricing.
Pricing, obviously.
It's the big killer. I was horrified at the price increases when I think it was around 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was we all started to get the renewal emails. And I personally was like, oh, right, toys out pram, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I started looking at other things. I couldn't find anything. I took it down to the real basic package. And I think I was paying like well over £100 just for the basic, considering I was on unlimited previously. And it's the deal breaker for me, because I still have clients who they don't want to pay for it. They just don't. They're like, no, not paying for that. I'm paying for, say, Zero, and I'm paying for it at this rate. Or you get the ones that come to you and say, oh, well, Zero says that it can do it. Yeah. Obviously, with the new banks as well, a lot of them, they've got the option to put the receipt in. So they think that if they've done that, then, oh, no, that's fine. Well, that's no good. I can't extract it from there. But there's resistance. And when there's resistance, that means harder work for myself, which ultimately what they can't see is that they're probably going to pay more time in bookkeeping costs than they probably would by automating. But I think if we could get to a fairer pricing structure with Dext, that would allow, all of my clients to be able to use the system, which would mean that everyone would be more efficient, and it would just be a given, right? They come on, this is what they're going to use for this. This is what they're going to use for this. This is the way that we're going to do it. We talk a lot about it in Designated, about structure and, the designated way, that when a clinician comes on, this is how we start them. This is how they continue. And I think it's really, really, really important that nobody falls outside of that. But I understand when it comes to pricing, people, it could be what actually seals the deal for you, or them going somewhere else.
So would you recommend it to other users then? You still think the product is brilliant? Or do you think it's just specifically for certain types of bookkeepers and accountants? Or do you think it's kind of adaptable to all kinds of bookkeepers and accountants practices?
I think it is. Like, I 100% rate the software. I have tried to leave, as I said, and I've come back. So, and I'm somebody that likes organization. I like to be able to see the flow, to understand, what's going on. And for me, I find it just as simple for somebody who has 5 invoices a month to somebody that has 500 invoices a month. As long as you set it up correctly, it works. And we're working in multi-industry, and we can make it fit for every industry. It's just that whole package that needs to be explained to people. And as I say, we've had people that have moved on to free software. They've tried it, then they're like, oh no, they've come back and they are paying for it. But it's like you got to make the mistake before you get them to understand. But then we've also had people that have left because they've gone somewhere else and they've been offered like an in-house or whatever. So
Have you paired it with other tools to supercharge it? So you've mentioned that you use it with Free Agent, Xero, and QuickBooks. Are they the key ones that you use with it? I know previously I've used it with things like Dropbox to create Dropbox folders so that my clients could just put the files in the Dropbox and Dex would automatically collect it from there. So do you use any other tools with it?
No. So I was going to say Dropbox is the only other one. We also use it if a client leaves to offboard straight into Dropbox, then they obviously have the control of the Dropbox. But we're really running Xero, predominantly Xero, a couple of QuickBooks and Free Agent.
Fab. So apart from Dext, what are your other 3 top apps in your tech stack?
So I am a Xero girl. I do love it, and I think it is. It's definitely moving with the times. There's a lot of add-ons that I'm still learning. We're obviously moving to a new certification that's coming out soon, but I think it is trying to take over the world. I do think it will get there. I think there's still some elements that need clarification where, you know, they give you a free version of something that's not quite great, but then if you want something that's a little bit better, you can pay. So I think, again, with, you know, working within like Xero themselves, if they can look at what they're doing, I think it's fantastic, but maybe develop some of the add-ons but into Xero. So I would say Xero, I would say Iris Elements. I'm old school. So I was a tax filer and then I got shut down and I was like, no. I just find it really easy to use. Pricing really, really, really reasonable. Yeah. And they have just done some work on it that we can now pull income from direct for MT, so that's really good. And then I think my third, probably everyone will laugh, is I'm still money soft. So it's my baby. I've been with it since day one. I love it. It doesn't have, the only thing I hate is that it doesn't have a portal. That's the only thing. But I still have a payroll machine that I run it all off of. I love it. I think it's really, really good value for money. I think it gives you everything that you need. The only thing I would say is, you know, sometimes the last sort of 18 months, a lot of the time when you send the emails, they seem to go into junk for people, which has been a bit of a nightmare. I have reported that a couple of times to support, but I don't really think it's resolving. But again, it is what it is. So I think you can probably say I'm quite sort of old school in my systems, but if it's not broke, then, you know, and it works to the level. And, you know, as with every business owner, we're trying to make a margin. Like that's the best thing. And if we've got something that is really great value for money and working, and those three, obviously Xero pricing is, but, you know, the more clients you bring on, the bigger your discount. So it's, I think the three of them together, including Dext as well, they, you know, they really support my business and allow us to take it to the next level.
Perfect. How often do you review your tech stack, the apps that you use? Is it something that you do periodically, or something that you do if there's an issue, or you don't review them at all?
To be honest, usually when the price renewals come through, I will be like, oh, but I know we were talking earlier, I look at Facebook groups, like your group is, that's where I will go. I will look at, you know, people say, oh, have you tried, and when, you know, it's one of us that's using it, it's a lot more interesting than it is, right, I'm from Free Agent and I'm going to sell you so-and-so. I like to hear about people using it firsthand, and sometimes, you know, the honesty, like, I've got it, I like it, but this is rubbish or whatever, because that might be the area that I really don't like. So yeah.
Have you ever had a software disaster moment, sort of where the software has had a tantrum, and how have you dealt with it, or have you coped quite well with software problems?
No. So as much as I love Xero, the bank feeds are just
hit and miss.
I have had so many clients that are awful at responding when you've done the accounts. I pull the accounts together, I'll send them to them, I'm chasing them. The accounts are due next Friday. They finally come back and say, oh, here's the bank statement you asked for. And I go, they don't match. Oh my God, they don't match. What, you know, and then you've got to go back and you've got to find it. And it's not simple to go back and to do that. So I've had quite a few of those. I also had a massive blip when we moved from manual to Bright Manager.
Yep.
And that was, horrific. I ended up pulling my hair out for a long while, had to have a lot of help from support.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's quite frightening when you think, oh my God, have I lost all of this information? Literally. So I think that, and also the transition from tax filer to Elements was horrible and scary, and like, oh my God, and I lost clients moving them across and had to go back. And I think it really makes you realize the importance of having, you know, everything backed up, put everything there. And for me, you know, I still print a lot of stuff. So I'm kind of like, that in my head is always like, right, as long as I've got that, I know I'm okay. But so I think it's always scary. But yeah, I've had a few disasters.
If you could give you a piece of advice to those in our industry who feel overwhelmed by all the software options out there, what would your piece of advice be?
I would say listen to your peers, because they are the people that are using it day in, day out. I've had, you know, bosses make decisions before when I've been in commercial world, or this is the new software. They don't even know about software. And I think if you're, it's really the day-to-day people that are using it. They are the key. You know, maybe try and find someone in your area, local area, that's got the software that you're interested in, that you can have a chat with, or they can run you through it. Or, you know, the Facebook groups are the best. LinkedIn, where you're getting like a real kind of show of what the system is, rather than what it's been sold to you.
Cool. Now, these are the last final questions. So some of them are quick fire round. So iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Zero, QuickBooks or Sage, or Free Agent, I should say as well.
Zero.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, lots of it.
What is the one piece of tech or business wisdom you wish you'd learnt earlier?
I think don't be scared of who you are and what you can do. Speaking as a woman in an accountancy industry, I'm sure you would agree, we sometimes doubt ourselves. When I was growing up, I always thought, an accountant's a man, like that's what they do, you know. Oh, I could never do that. We can all do anything. And I think never be afraid to try new things.
Yeah.
Or the worst that's going to happen is you fail. You know.
Yeah. And then you get back up and start again.
Exactly.
Yeah. Final question for you today, Vicky. What app do you think is underrated and deserves a little bit more love?
I think actually Free Agent.
Yeah.
Because people go a little bit to it. I'm using it with a couple of clients. I think they get it free with maybe NatWest or one of those. And I actually think it's really good. Like, I did some stats the other day for somebody, and Free Agent was close, like really close to where the adjustments that should have been posted. I actually think in the future that will come into the top. It will be in the names that we, you know, all think of. But yeah.
No, that's brilliant. So thank you very much today. It's been a really great podcast. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. And thank you, Vicky, for being a brilliant guest.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.